have to tell you something. I did not wake up full of awesome this morning. These days, there is so much going on in the world. So much to keep track of and think about and worry about, from the personal to the global. Even when good things are also happening, it's so easy for everything to feel overwhelming and exhausting. And this morning, like so many others, I woke up and was immediately thinking about all of these things. It's not that conducive to waking up full of awesome. Now, this poem is not about waking up and feeling great about the world or about ignoring the awful things that might be happening. It's about waking up knowing that you are awesome, waking up full of self-love and carrying that with you through the rest of the day. But these days, I find it hard to wake up in the morning thinking about myself at all, much less remembering and feeling that I am awesome. And yet, despite all of this, all that is hard and heartbreaking in the world around me, all that I'm trying to carry and hold for myself and for the people I love and for the entire world, I'm here today to remind you, partly because I need help remembering it myself, that learning and remembering to love and care for ourselves is vital, is revolutionary, and is necessary. It's necessary. It's not frivolous. It's not an extra thing we should do when we can. Taking care of ourselves is crucial grounding work that gets us through all of what is going on. Giving ourselves space and time to rest and remembering that we love ourselves, that we too are worthy of waking up full of awesome, is such revolutionary work. And goodness, is it hard work. In the original blog post where Melissa Atkins-Wardy shared waking up full of awesome, there's this picture of her daughter Amelia. She's wearing pink glasses, a colorful tank top. Her mouth is open wide with a missing tooth right on top, and her fist is raised above her head. She is so clearly full of awesome. And I see that picture and I want to make sure that Amelia never loses that awesome. And I want her to teach me how to reclaim it. Because I was once 5 years old, and I absolutely thought I was beautiful, even with missing teeth and messy hair and mismatched socks in my grubby sneakers. And I had these giant multicolored glasses and multi-braid hairdos and mix and match outfits from Target. And I didn't think I was beautiful despite these things. These were part of who I was, and they were part of what made me the awesome kid that I knew I was. I was fierce and self-possessed. I trusted myself and my opinions on everything. From the news to what clothes to wear to what games my younger sister should be playing with me. I didn't second guess myself. It didn't occur to me that there was any other way to be. I loved my body and marveled at everything it could do. Climb the monkey bars, jump rope, hold my breath underwater. I let my mind carry me through making up songs, creating elaborate plays and choreography for my friends and I to perform in elementary school, and writing huge amounts of poetry in middle school. And now so much of that is no longer true. And it really aches to say that. I don't always trust myself and my opinions. I second guess myself all the time these days. I worry about whether I'm wearing or saying or doing the right things, the things I should be wearing or saying or doing. Rather than marveling at what my body can do, I notice the negative things about it, and I take the rest for granted. And while I certainly continue to engage my brain in many different ways, I've become so much more self-conscious about them. What if the words that I write for that poem or that blog post aren't exactly perfect? What if I try to do something impromptu? How will I get by without writing it down and practicing it over and over? What if I make up harmony to the song I'm singing with a friend and it is wrong? What if I start leading a prayer before writing it down and I can't think of anything to say? What if? I would not be surprised to learn that many of you find some resonance with what I'm saying. So many of us were self-possessed children like Amelia, and so many of us over the course of our lives have become less so. We have become less self-possessed, less sure of ourselves because people have said to us, whether directly or indirectly, that we are not beautiful enough, smart enough, thin enough, good enough. We've become this way because when we assert ourselves, we're called bossy or rude or undesirable. We're laughed at or ignored. And even when we try our hardest to ignore these voices, even when we remind ourselves, as the poem said, that they are full of shit, it is so easy for them to seep in around the edges. And without us noticing, we absorb and internalize them. And then sometimes even when no one else is saying it, we think these things about ourselves and say these things about ourselves. We don't notice what we are saying or thinking so much of the time, but maybe we can start to pay attention and work on disrupting it. Sometimes when a friend of mine is being self-deprecating, saying one of those things about themselves, I'll say to them, hey, don't talk about my friend like that. And it usually pauses them for a moment as they try to understand what it is I said to them. And then they realize that I meant them, that I love and care about them, and I don't want anyone to say mean things about them, not even themselves. I can't remember where I first picked this up, but I've seen it popping up now and again in different places, and I really like it. And I try to implement it for myself, but it is so much harder because the ways that we think and talk about ourselves are so much deeper buried in who we are. But so I try to say, don't talk about my friend that way, self. Don't talk about that person who I love and care about that way, self. Don't be so harsh on this person who is just trying their best to make their way through life, self. If you wouldn't say it to your best friend or your mom or a kiddo or a stranger on the street, why would you say it about yourself? You too deserve love and compassion and empathy. You too are someone trying their best to do this weird thing we call life. You too have inherent worth and dignity. Not just those people out there, but you. And it feels easy for me to say that to you, and much harder for me to say it to myself. That even I deserve love and compassion and empathy. Even I am just trying my best. I have inherent worth and dignity. It feels very easy to care for and love all the people around me, and so much harder to do it for myself. One of my favorite podcasts in the world is now canceled. It was called Another Round, hosted by Tracy Clayton and Heaven Nagatu. And in a newsletter in the summer of 2016, Tracy shared a guide for self-care in the wake of the murders of Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. And unfortunately, it is all still so relevant today. In her guide for self-care, Tracy reminds readers to take a break, to ignore trolls online, to find something to smile about, to come back when we're ready, and to love. Hug your parents, she says. Text your bestie. Take your son or daughter or niece or nephew on a date. Tell them they matter, that they are important, no matter what the rest of the world would have them believe. That we are powerful and strong, even when they feel helpless. Check in on your loved ones. See how they're holding up. Let them know you're thinking about them and that you are glad they exist. And do the same for yourself, too. Do these things because your loved ones may not be remembering to take care of themselves. Do these things because they need to know that you love them and care, that they matter. Do these things because it's way easier for people to love themselves when they know that other people love them. It is so much easier for us to have mercy on ourselves when others are there to remind us, to hold us, to give us the space to be vulnerable. So, beloveds, I invite you to place a hand on your heart and another on your gut, and to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or soften your gaze. Feel your body. Feel your breaths. And let yourself answer the question, how can I best love myself? And whatever just came to mind for you, the ways in which you can best love yourself, how can you actually make them happen? Maybe you can tell someone you love what it was that came to mind and invite them to maybe gently invite you into that plan when things are hard. Maybe you can write it on a note card that you stick above the sink or next to the bed or the front door. Maybe you can set a reminder on your phone that will pop up every so often, reminding you to love yourself. Find a way to make sure you offer to yourself what it is that you need. Remember, self-love and self-care are always best practiced in community. You may find it hard to love yourself sometimes, or a lot of the time, or all of the time. I imagine that you find it much easier to love the people around you. I know that I do. Even when I'm struggling with the weight of the world, I love my family, my partner, my friends. I love them deeply and actively. And I find ways to reach out to them to make sure they know that. I send them funny pictures to remind them to smile. I am their relentless accountability buddy. I remind them to eat. I bring them lunch. I help them. I cheerlead them as they try to find a therapist. I let them know they can call me anytime. Literally anytime. I make sure they know if they need to talk or cry or rant or just know someone else is there. I will be there. I will love them fiercely. And by loving them, I remind myself of the ways it is possible to love myself. By loving them, I create space for them to love me. So allow yourself to be cared for, and allow yourself to care for yourself. Let your friends help you remember to love yourself. And in time, you will love yourself the way that your friends love you. May it be so.